brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, they made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with...
Elizabeth Helly.
And...
Tyler Hymanson.
And we are here with a brand new episode, brand new franchise.
Woo!
Damn.
We're done with Species, thank God.
I don't think we could have taken any more, to be honest.
I mean...
Guys, of all the ones we've done, I feel like that's the one that's most likely to have a sequel, though. I mean, like...
How dare you?
We can't say that we're done.
Yeah, well,
That's true, that's true. Yeah, I really... Yeah, I hope. That'd be great.
That one faces more challenges, though, because then... You know, what are they going to make, a computer-animated Fievel? That's fucking weird.
What?
Creepy. But yeah, we're kicking off a brand new franchise with Open Water. Mm-hmm. And man, I am actually really excited to talk about this one because it is a great movie.
I enjoyed it a lot. I actually thought that I had seen this movie, and I hadn't.
Whoa!
Yeah, same. And a lot of people that I've mentioned this to mentioned that they know of the first movie but had no clue that there were any sequels.
Yeah.
So that should be fun.
I only knew about this movie from the second one, but we'll get into that in the next episode.
Okay. Yeah. And then I guess, should we say where they're available really quick? The first two are available on Showtime streaming, and then the third one is available to rent at like Redbox or streaming rental or wherever you...
Because, very excitingly, it just came out this year. It is our most current movie that we'll be doing in 3 weeks.
So,
or you can buy it, of course.
Yeah, if you guys want to follow along, that's the way to do it. So why don't we dive right in
Boo.
to Open Water.
Other people go on vacations and spend their days just laying around. We have a story we're going to be telling for the rest of our lives.
Daniel, where's the boat?
That's a good question.
We are stuck in the middle of the ocean. Oh, God. Oh.
It's okay. It's okay. This can't be happening. Oh my God. Susan! Susan!
All right, let's start off with a real quick rundown of the plot. I'll just set it up for you guys because it's pretty simple. A couple is on vacation in the Bahamas, and they decide to go scuba diving. And as they come up from their dive, they realize that their boat is gone, and they are stranded in open water. That's pretty much it.
That's it. Yep.
That's the setup, and, that's pretty much, I think out of all the films, that's the simplest setup we've had. Mm-hmm. Everything else is like, there's a talking mouse. There's a talking species.
There's an orphanage.
Yeah.
He's the problem child.
There's a talking child. I mean, there's talking characters in all the films we do. It's weird.
We should watch a silent film. That would be great to talk about.
A lot of talking.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
you want to give...
film came out in 2004.
Yeah.
And it is based on true events, is what it says, the opening scene.
Is it an LA Times article, or is it a...
I'm not sure. The filmmaker said they saw an article, they were both big into diving before filming this movie, and apparently they had seen an article, I think, in one of their, trade magazines or something. The Diving Times.
That's really funny because there's a line in the movie where the wife's like, how could this happen? And the guy's like, actually, it happens a lot. She's like, how do you know that? And she's like, I read it in dive magazines.
Yeah, see? Exactly.
Yeah.
That's totally what happened. And he said they saw the article in 1999 and started turning the wheels in their minds about what they could do with that story.
That's really interesting because one of the main hallmarks of this movie is that it was one of the first films to be shot completely on digital video. Blair Witch and found footage, things like that, before, but that was kind of more of a gimmick of yes, there's a camcorder, you found this footage. This is shot like an actual movie, it's on digital video. So that makes sense if, 1999 is the original idea. This movie had a budget of only $120,000, which is dirt fucking cheap.
Yeah.
And it, it's something where the technology was available, and there's a lot of stylistic things that are really interesting about just kind of that aesthetic that we can talk about a little bit later, but that's kind of what allowed this movie to be made in the way that it is.
Yeah, while we're on the subject of the production of the film, they had done one. It's the director and then his wife who produced the film. They had done a film before this where they had a full crew and everything, and this film, which was shot over the course of 2 years, shot completely on weekends and vacation time because they self-financed the film, and the director Chris, what was his name?
It's a husband and wife team.
Yeah, the director's name was Chris Kentis, and his wife
Laura Lau.
So he wanted to be able to keep working and making money to help pay for the film. So he kept working, and they would go fly to the Bahamas on the weekends or take vacation. He said that his employer didn't even have any idea that they were making a film.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Which is pretty nuts.
I saw that these people were actually in the water for 120 hours total by the time they were done.
That's crazy.
Filming this movie. And I would say it's about like 3/4 or 2/3 of the movie that they're in the water.
3/4.
3/4? Okay, yeah. It's most of the movie is them in the water.
Yeah, I think they're in their water by, the 15-minute mark.
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
Of the 118-minute runtime.
Yeah.
I don't know how fractions work.
So even before they get stuck in the middle of the ocean, they're not the best couple to begin with. They're kind of workaholics.
He's a contractor. She's some sort of sports TV Aaron Andrews type.
Yeah. We get a little bit of setup about what they're doing, and they need a vacation, and then we see them kind of just hanging out in the Bahamas, having a fun time. And
except she's not in the mood.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
she puts on a bunch of face cream. Which should have been the initial signal, but then he goes for it anyway, and she.
I was like,
she's not in the
finally, a
mood.
movie without rape.
Yeah.
That was great.
She said she wasn't in the mood, and he was like, all right.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he was bummed,
But again, I'm watching this movie, and I must have seen some of it, or maybe I just don't remember it as much as watching it now. But I'm watching this movie on the train, as I do with some movies when I commute, and I'm like, this movie's not gonna have any nudity. And then there's like a whole like Mexican family behind me, and then like she's naked. Like, let me just not look like a horrible person.
That was super unexpected.
Yeah. Anyways, so they're not the best couple. They're kind of bickering even before they get there.
Yeah.
But they have obtained scuba certification in advance of this trip, and they head out on the boat with a bunch of people and some guides.
Yeah, and everything's normal.
If you've ever been on one of these boats, like it's the way that's actually captured in terms of how the people that are on the boat are all like they almost seem like foreign volunteers, but like it feels very authentic in terms of like they're giving like the boat captain's making jokes about what the international distress signal is, and people are kind of talking through the whole spiel, and it felt really authentic to that.
Totally.
Experience.
And so far we're 20 minutes in the film and everything's fine. Everyone's happy. They're going great.
The guide even made some cracks about, you don't need to worry about sharks. They don't want to eat humans.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to see a shark, close your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only the, as there is on every boat, one douchebag passenger who forgot his goggles.
Yep.
And gets mad at everyone else because he forgot them.
He was a real jerk, too.
Yeah.
Absolute jerk. And an inciting incident. Like
his
he's a
fault.
jerk for a reason.
Yeah.
So, should we explain how this mix-up happens?
Sure.
You want me to do it? Okay.
Hey, you brought it up.
Yeah. You're not allowed.
So, they have a really crappy system of how they keep track of all the divers. Everybody dives in, and he counts them. And so, there's 20 people out there diving. But then... And the poor guy who forgot his mask is sitting, just steaming on the boat, and he's all pissed off. And so this one couple ends up coming up and aborting their dive because I don't know anything about diving.
She can't clear her ears, so basically she can't equalize the pressure, so her ears are in pain.
So they give up, and they come back up, and the asshole guy sees an opportunity and is like, "Give me your mask, I'm gonna go in," and the boat lady is like, absolutely not. You cannot go without a buddy. I will not allow it. And then he kind of aggressively coerces the
boyfriend
of the girl.
Which, something the movie glosses over is how pissed that she is at him, because I imagine that she is.
Yeah. So they leave her on the boat. Asshole guy convinces the boyfriend to go back in with him, but the deckhand guy that was doing the count never saw these two guys go back in the water. So he had already marked that there were 3 people on board.
Yep.
He was off tying buoys or doing something to the front of the boat.
So yeah, when everyone starts coming back on, he marks it off till there's 20 people, and they're like, all right, let's leave.
Yep.
Which I kind of find slightly hard to believe. Like, I know this is what happened in real life, but I feel like, I don't know, like, wouldn't there be somebody? It's a pretty small boat, not a ton of people.
Somebody would be like, hey, what happened to those people?
Yeah, there were like 2 other people on this boat. Like, I feel like I would be present enough to be like, hey, weren't there other people? Like, this other
maybe,
girl?
but it's strangers, it's on vacation, you're all consumed with yourself.
I was like, are these people so all consumed with they're talking about their dive afterwards, they don't even notice that?
I mean, it's kind of that. Like, I could see how it happened, but you're right. It's very, very
also,
strange.
I need to speak for the ethnic people in the world, since you're both white. All white people look the same, so the other people on the boat were probably like, because there was definitely other couples on the boat.
That's true.
So, and mostly white people,
I guess.
So,
yeah. So they get delayed. They don't come up after their dive time. They're pretty close to it. I will say,
they actually came up early. The boat left early because they thought they had everybody. It specifically says that they come up at 10:25 and the call time was 10:30. So.
Oh damn! So the reason they got separated is because they're down petting a moray eel, a real scary eel. They're just down there petting an eel, which shows that they're comfortable with things. I mean, like, they're not afraid. Like, they're very comfortable in the ocean, and it's the kind of, I was like, even when I saw it, I was like, fuck, I wouldn't pet an eel. Like, what are you doing?
I was like, are you supposed to touch the fish?
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Do you actually have certification to scuba dive?
No, but I've been on snorkeling. I did like a manta ray thing, and so. But yeah.
I also went snorkeling this summer. And also parasailing, which now that I'm thinking of it, the boat captain and the dudes helping were totally like making dumb jokes so that people wouldn't be nervous. But Justin's been scuba diving.
That's right. I went scuba diving. It was totally not out in open water or anything. But this movie definitely crossed my mind when I was doing it. But we would just walked out from the shore, so it wasn't that bad.
Okay.
But speaking of the eel, there's a hilarious line later on when they're like, they're stuck out in the water and it's been a long time and they're starting to freak out and make accusations and stuff. And I think the girl, Susan, she says, God, we shouldn't have spent so much time with that goddamn eel. And at the time I was like, man, that makes it sound like they went down there and they're like, hey, like, this eel came up to us and we had adventures with the eel. Yeah. And Mr. Eel took us over to the cove.
Yeah, he grifted us. We spent 2 weekends in Atlantic City with that eel.
I should have spent so much time talking to that fucking eel.
Just now we own a timeshare.
He gave us cigarettes. I didn't know. He bought booze for us.
No.
I just thought the way she read that line, I was like, this makes it sound like they went on an adventure.
I just thought that's what people did here.
Yeah.
So they're basically, the whole movie is them out there and they go through the stages of
At first they're like making jokes.
At some point he pees and she's like, did you just pee? And she gets all mad and I'm like, lady, that's the least of your problem.
He's like, well, you said you were cold.
There's something really hard to pin down for me in this movie of and it's something with the digital video style. It kind of gets away with a lot of things because it sometimes it just feels like you're watching somebody's home movies, which makes it feel really, really real, but also makes it feel kind of amateurish. And so there's kind of gray area in terms of it kind of puts you off balance in terms of what you're expecting from a movie, just a narrative. And so sometimes their dialogue is actually, most of the time, the dialogue is incredibly innocuous. And sometimes it feels unnatural, but sometimes then there's a part of me, I don't think the guy's great. I don't think he's an amazing actor.
Right.
But also it's like, well, it's also, if it's being accurate to that situation, you would be saying innocuous dumb shit like this, and you wouldn't be, you know, so it gets away with a lot, and it kind of pulls off a trick of the times where it's bad, it kind of defaults to feeling a little bit more real, except for a few exceptions with him. But it pulls off this really good trick, and something that the movie does is, you know, they don't never really freak out, except for the one exception. But it's just them kind of talking like, we're going to be fine, we're going to be okay. And there's something that makes it scarier because of that.
Totally. Like, I feel like with this film, you know, I had seen it in theaters, and I remember that I just thought it was really well done. But like watching it again, you know, there's like most of the film, I feel like you're watching it kind of like, okay, this is lame. And then, you know, I don't know, somewhere along the way, you start to, just from the realism of their performances, you start to be like, oh, these are real people. And then when the shit gets real later on in the film, and you have, you know, Susan, like, exasperately screaming like, I love you, this kind of stuff, it really gets to me, and I was starting to get like a little, you know, teared up at that situation, because you start to feel like, oh my god, these are real people, and you know, you can think that like this happened in real life, kind of. And I just think, it ends up being like a really harrowing experience, that is definitely worth watching if you haven't seen it, for sure.
They go through a lot over the hours. They play some Kevin Bacon.
They do, and the movie does. I'm not sure it doesn't do this consistently, but it does have some time stamping in terms of like they go in at like 9:45, and he's wearing a watch, so they're kind of keeping track of their time. So, and they're using kind of the sky, although the sky is kind of this overcast nightmare.
It's not great, because at some point there's some planes and boats and things, and they're trying to use shiny things, which is what you're supposed to do, right? But there's not enough sun to make it effective.
This is going to go off on a longer tangent for me, but I think that's the more terrifying part of this movie, because there's a lot of I mean, I forget what they are, but you learn in screenwriting classes that there's only 7 conflicts, and one of them is man versus nature, right?
Right.
And this is a classic man versus nature story. It's the indifference of the world and the universe and nature, and the crushing force against, you know, frail humanity. But this is one of the more modern man versus nature movies where the civilization's all around them. When they come up, there's 2 boats that they can see. They're far, and they say, well, maybe we should swim, maybe we should do that. And the husband makes the smart choice, saying, you know, no, like, we just drifted. The boat will come back. They'll know that we're missing. They'll be looking here, and that boat's super, super far away. And throughout the course of this entire movie, they're floating there. Civilization, there's like 5 boats past them.
They see a couple barges. They see and like a plane go by,
and nobody sees them. And it's kind of, and there's even these cutbacks to dry land where people are having their vacations and the world is turning while they are out there lost and alone. And it's kind of this, I don't know, it's like a Kafka, like existential dread element of the man versus nature story, where yes, there's all the elements, yes, there's the ocean and everything else, but it's like the world has forgotten them. It's like this left behind thing that is, I mean, we talked about we were talking about this with like all the fears and stuff, but like that's the fear that really gets to me, and something that I think is something that really makes this movie stand out from just a slasher or the ocean's scary, just another shark movie type of thing.
It's one of those films that you know, as you're watching it, it's easy for the audience to put themselves in that situation and be like, what would I do if this happened to me? Because it is, you know, it's an honest mistake that happens in the film. Like, you know, we can say like, oh, wouldn't someone notice? But like, it's a pretty honest mistake. And then you're sitting there the whole film thinking like, how would I react in this situation?
The problem is that we know no one's looking for them, and they don't know no one's looking for them. Right. So that's the conflict.
And they also, I mean, they don't necessarily, they hinted it, like they show that somebody, like we don't know explicitly that no one's going to be coming for them.
Yeah.
But they don't ever make a choice that you're like, oh, you dumb fuck. Like what are you doing? like they make, like they're sitting there, they're talking it out, like they're being a good couple in that
they
regard.
Are for quite some time,
trying to get that together. And like the only time that they fuck up is when they bicker with each other a little bit. But like everything that he says is the thing that you should do in the situation, which makes it again even scarier, because it's like, because you know,
they ostensibly did everything right.
Yeah. And I was going to get more to the ending of this movie, but
let's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a jellyfish incident. There's some crying boats. There's puking.
Crying boats?
The
Crying, boats.
I love the jellyfish thing because I mean, ostensibly, when we were talking about this before we were going to record it, Eliz, you were like, "Oh, it's just that shark movie." I'm like, "Oh no, it's like it's a whole ocean thing." Like,
I had no idea.
And the jellyfish thing, like I've jumped in. I mean, I've been stung by a jellyfish. It sucks.
Oh,
and we jumped in at a snorkel point in Hawaii when I was, like 13. And we just look around and there's just all these tiny jellyfish and there's nothing. I mean, I've one of the most scared moments of my life where I was like, oh my God, just like, holy shit.
God.
Like, get me out of the water. Get me out of the water. And I love that you can't see them. And it's just like the thing that's making you float is filled with shit that's trying to kill you.
Yeah. And they never even realize what happened to them, I don't think.
The jellyfish, they think they do.
No. They show a jellyfish.
They show it, but yeah, they never
also incredible respect for this movie of using live animals. I don't know if some animals were hurt. It's possible. But there's real jellyfish with them in the water.
So I know what happened with the jellyfish because I read this, that the jellyfish just appeared and they were like, quick, shoot those jellyfish. And then they never saw jellyfish again for the rest of the shoot. It was just one random day.
Oh, fantastic.
The sharks were mostly trained sharks that a guy brought in. Yeah. And then there was a few stragglers that just appeared.
Yeah, they had a shark wrangler on the film.
Yeah.
But they were all real sharks.
All real sharks, all real shark behavior.
Like we were watching some of the special features and, like I said earlier, there was no crew. So everything that is shot in this film is the director swimming, like 2 feet away from the actors with a camera. And there is footage of him just like totally surrounded by sharks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the actors too, like, the shark wrangler guy was like, this is really kind of a weird movie because normally we're shooting these scenes with stunt actors, stunt performers, and we're using the real talent on this, and so it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
They basically wore like a chainmail thing under their scuba suits.
Yeah. So it's just really impressive, like what they did.
And do they say what kind of type of sharks they are? They're not.
No, I don't think I never got.
They all look like reef sharks that aren't necessarily like they if they swarm you, like nothing's. They're not gonna like.
Right.
They're not tiger sharks or makos or
that are super
great whites, but still.
But I think no matter how much you know about sharks, the one thing that you know is that it's going to get worse when there's blood in the water.
Yes.
So at some point, she gets bit while sleeping, but never really figures out.
Well, yeah, she starts having nausea, which a bunch of people have.
Sure,
I went just a side note, when I did this like manta ray night dive in Hawaii this summer. And you're basically just hanging onto this floating longboard up top. Like somebody just like threw up like next to us because because just when you're on the ocean floating up and down like that, you get seasick. So she's basically like, oh, my Dramamine wore off. Also, I have a problem with this movie because I do everything right. And then she's like, I'm getting really thirsty. And then he's like, you didn't drink the water, did you? And she's like, a little bit. And it's like, everybody knows you don't drink the ocean water.
Yeah. Everybody knows that.
Stupid Susan.
So yeah, he lets her sleep for a while, but then they both fall asleep and they drift apart. So she wakes up, she's bitten in the leg by something, she doesn't know what, freaking out because they're alone. They eventually find each other again. But... Was she actually bit by something, or was it his knife?
No, at that point she got bit by something.
Yeah, so now we know there is some blood in the water, so the shark thing is gonna get worse.
I loved when she fell asleep and woke up. It was one of those things where it was like this transition, and it was the only time where they really used like a really strong music cue in the movie.
Oh yeah,
and it cuts her. It's like
I know there were some parts where like so we haven't talked about the music yet, but there's several licensed songs that are like these like folk songs from the Bahamas. They use some stuff from the Smithsonian Folkways albums, and then but there is actually a score as well from Graham Revell. Mm-hmm. And there, like, there's certain parts in the film where I feel like they must have been like, okay, this part is a little bit boring, so why don't we like put in this like horror cue where it's like, just like that, like when she wakes up, or they'd be like ominous, like shots straight out of The Happening or something of the clouds moving. You know, like stupid stuff where the music is like.
The songs that they used, the tribal ones, they all sounded like what's that big Australian instrument that's like
Didgeridoo?
Oh yeah.
They all sounded like didgeridoo stuff.
It was cool. I mean, some of it was a little odd, but they all kind of had this weird like spiritual, like wandering folk song thing to it, and I think sometimes it was a little weird, but once it starts getting in further into the film and you're dealing with life and death situations, that kind of like, you know, spiritual music that has this connection possibly to the afterlife or whatever, I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think you're right. It works better as the film goes on. When it first starts and it's just showing tourist shit, it's just
or when they're underwater and it's
what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's really weird.
It's like this like Caribbean hillbilly music.
It's like they're playing Under the Sea. Dun, dun, dun. Let's touch an eel. Bum, bum, bum. Just like that.
God. Okay, so after the bite incident, he gets a leg cramp and they really start losing it, and they really come to terms with the fact that nobody's coming because it's already like 5:00 by this point.
Yeah.
So.
And there's lots of yelling.
Yeah. There's yelling on that, and you know, I think that this is the part where we can kind of talk about the performances in this movie.
Yeah.
I think that she overall is pretty good. She has some things that.
Well, yeah, she's more understated. Like she never goes off, and she always has like the parts where he's like Daniel is like, "Are you mad?" She's always has this like understated like anger and just like kind of. You know, she's upset by the whole thing that's happening, but she's not outwardly showing it.
Yeah.
And like most women compared to men, she works much better under pressure than he did. Like during the crisis, she was able to actually do stuff. Whereas when he was in crisis, he screwed up and dropped things and messed up and couldn't make it
lost
work.
the camera.
He was in shock.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well,
but so was she.
After a certain thing happened. But
Yeah.
I mean, he gets bit by a shark.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, we're really close to that.
He
part,
gets legit.
Well, I mean, we're not. Like...
but I think she does a great job of taking off her weight belt and like making a tourniquet out of it.
They do make a very strong point early in the movie. Is like, drop the weights, but keep the belt.
Yeah, because we might need it later.
You might need that later.
Wink, wink. But yeah, he has a knife that he just drops, and they have a camera that they also drop.
Which it seems like it's like a more important shot than it should be, but I think what it is they grab a shot of one of the sharks like biting one of the floating cameras and they're like, let's use it.
Yeah.
But it makes it lose like, oh, like in the context of the film, it's like, oh no, they lost the camera. And then you're like, wait, that doesn't matter.
At some point she reveals that she had some candy in her pocket.
Oh yeah,
that was cool. I guess.
Weird.
Yeah, you get to have like this like a super salty Jolly Rancher. At the same time, like that would be fucking incredible.
I was
like if you've been in the ocean for an hour, like you're like, oh, my mouth's too salty.
Yeah.
Yeah, she pulled those out, and I was like, she got those from the eel, didn't she?
That's what I thought. He's selling candy. He's right out of his undersea van.
That's right.
I told you not to go there, Susan. That eel is no good. He already got. He's
we
the one
who
who
been up before 10:30.
He's the one who got us into this mess in the first place. Don't go and take his candy.
That's right.
So he gets bit real bad.
Yeah.
Like total chunk out of his leg.
It's a chunkaroo, yeah.
Bit.
And then it becomes night, which we all know is going to be horrible for them. I think the night shots were even like more exaggerated than it would really be if you were out there at night, because it was like pitch dark. Like it didn't.
Well,
you couldn't see anything. Then again, I wasn't watching on the.
There was
screen.
a storm, right?
No. So the moon was supposedly covered.
Okay. So you have $120,000 movie, right?
Yeah.
You have the first bite that you've seen. You don't see what's bit her. It happens when both characters are asleep. Right?
Yeah.
And so basically how this has been shot up until this point is there's an animal in the shot. Then the cut above ground is the actor reacting to whatever the thing that you just saw, right? So like how do you have a shark attack and all these things when you can't actually have these animals interacting with your actors at all? Well, the answer is that you have a lightning storm and you cut to black and then you have them scream over it. And then you bring the light back up.
I couldn't decide if it was clever or dumb. Like the lightning.
No, it's necessary because they didn't have the budget, because otherwise you're getting a CG shark that's biting them. It is a classic solve to keep in the context of the movie. I don't hate it, but it is also very, very obvious what they're doing.
I mean, I kind of liked it, and like it probably actually plays better when you're watching it in the theater because it would be darker probably than where you're watching it at home. But I actually liked it because the actors are like freaking the fuck out the entire time, and you're thinking the same thing. Like, in that situation, they're getting. It happens to be during a storm, so they're getting like intermittent bursts of like, there's a fin, and oh my god, it's right by
horrifying.
us.
Yeah.
And they're like freaking out, and this is at the point where she starts like, Susan, you feel like is starting to realize like they might not make it through this, like actually, and she starts to like go on about like, saying like, I love you.
Yep.
And I just thought that was really like affecting emotionally for that whole part, and I thought it was an effective scene, whether or not it was like they're trying to cheat having all these sharks attacking them or whatever, but.
And then the next morning we see the sunrise, and then we get to see the most hilarious scene in this movie. It's what's his face from the boat going back to the boat. Oh, it's a beautiful sunrise shot. and then this guy goes back to the boat and he finds their stuff, and then he finds in their bag their ID. And then he looks at the ID. He's looking at the ID, and then there's like a flashback of them on the boat, like being super loving, and then it cuts to him being like, "Oh yeah."
I know. I was like, oh, now he remembers these people.
And so the actor just is not capable of having this moment of recognition, and so you could tell that it was that they cut that footage in to like oh, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
But his face doesn't change at all, and then he just runs off.
Oh my god!
And then we see a different person knocking on their hotel room door.
Well, it's the hotel manager,
right?
Yeah.
And then after they're gone, this is my favorite part of this whole sequence is my favorite thing because it's just oh my god, they're missing. Send the stock footage of aircraft after.
There's all sorts of things: helicopter, a water plane,
at least
rescue
10 boats.
Yeah.
Nothing that they shot. It was just like, get the stock footage. like that's
go.
Stock footage to the rescue!
Oh my gosh! Okay.
It's like, oh no, we actually sent the footage of those two lions fucking. Shit! Damn it!
We can't have this in a Lionsgate film.
We meant to send the seaplane.
Oh my god!
I love that they sent out all the boats and everything, and then like there was a shot during the rescue search scene where there's like one boat just floating, and it's a guy, like I swear he's eating a sandwich. He's like, the boat's not going anywhere, and he's just like, I'm looking in the ocean. But it's my lunch break.
Yeah, they're not doing a very good job of searching, and plus they've drifted so far at this point that they're not even in the right place. Like, it cuts back to her, and there's no evidence of the search. Like, she doesn't see anything, even remotely close to her.
There's like the slight sense that I feel like they're trying to make this feeling where it's like they were about to find them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not conveyed very well.
So yeah, I mean, I didn't realize that he was dead right when they cut back to her, but then you kind of realize that
she basically just lets him go.
He's passed away, so she lets him go, and she sees him be torn apart by the sharks.
Yeah, the ending is really messed up.
And there's more and more sharks, and she decides to kill herself.
She's like, fuck that, I'm not gonna get eaten, and she, without a weight belt, drowns herself.
Yeah, it's like really this whole last scene is really slow and methodical. Like, she realizes he's dead, kisses him on the cheek, and then there's this long scene of her like removing his oxygen tank and then letting him float away, and then when she decides like she's done, same thing, like removing the oxygen tank, and then she just from a wide shot sinks into the water. Yep, and that's like pretty. I mean, that's
fade
almost
to black.
What you're left with. Yeah.
So here's the thing: is that I didn't know anything about the story or the movie, and so since I saw based on true events at the beginning, I was like, oh, they have to live, because how else would they have told the story that this movie is based on? I didn't realize it was based so loosely that basically all of it is made up except for the premise of two people getting lost.
I mean, it was based on 2 people dying because they got left behind by a scuba thing.
Yeah,
Right.
but we have no idea if what they did in the ocean was anything close to what these
Well,
two
yeah,
did.
you wouldn't have any idea of like the events
Yeah.
leading up to them
Yeah.
drowning.
So
or whatever.
because I didn't realize that extent, I was like, oh yeah, obviously they're gonna live because how else do they know that?
Yeah. I guess
So,
I guess
they
I
don't
could see it doing
live
that,
is the big ending.
Yeah, they die and the credits roll, and we get a sweet post credits scene or during credits scene.
I missed that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and describe it.
Okay, so you stopped watching?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I feel like it started up right away. So
Yeah.
the credits are rolling, and while the credits are rolling, you start to see this footage of like fishermen back from the day.
Yeah.
And they've caught a shark. And they're going through the motions of like,
They take the fins,
feeding the shark, and then they cut the shark open, and it looks, I mean, I don't know, as far as I can tell, it looks like a real shark they're cutting open.
Yeah.
And then they start pulling the guts out, and like the stomach is hanging out, and
It's
some guy is
Jolly
like,
Ranchers.
yeah, oh my god, there's got that eel in there. Some
That
guy-
goddamn eel.
Yeah.
He set him up. He was like, "Hey, sharks, I know where 2 people are.
Yeah, so got some good food.
You got
for
to stay off my turf.
You
though."
hungry? Yeah. So some guy off screen is like, let's see what they ate or whatever, and he sticks his hand in there, pulls out a fish head. The next thing he pulls out is the camera. Pulls the camera out of the stomach of the shark, and then he goes, "Wow, sharks eat the darndest things." And then it like fades to black again, and then the rest of the credits roll.
Oh, so you don't get like a picture montage of them like having a fun vacation together?
No.
Yeah, it's like the end of The Hangover.
Because that,
Yeah,
'cause that would be heartbreaking.
I know. And it doesn't show like it's not like this is the original people.
Well, no, and it wouldn't even the underwater camera would only have like pictures of the eel and
Right.
stuff like that. Yeah, it wouldn't have their.
It's
Then
interesting.
they'd have the murderer.
Yeah.
true.
It's interesting. So that like the film ends, and other than that like end credit scene, you never get a sense that like anyone ever found out what happened to these people.
Yeah.
They just like went out looking for them and couldn't find them.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. There was actually an alternate opening on the DVD that I'm glad they didn't use, because it would take away what Eliz, you were saying, the kind of like, if you didn't know the story, you wouldn't know what's going to happen. But the the opening shot of the film is water, of course. Open water.
Opening shot of water.
Yeah, exactly. So it starts off the exact same.
Opening shot of open water.
It starts off the exact same as the original, the final cut of the film, but instead of just the water and then cutting to our couple, it shows like the scuba gear of one of the couples, like one of them like float up and like come to the shore.
Oh, I see.
And so you would have known right off the bat that like, oh shit, like something bad goes down.
Maybe not. Like maybe they
Yeah.
decided.
Yeah.
They could have taken off the tank.
true,
Decided to
But I
live.
feel like your
to
first
live
thought-
amongst the fishes.
That takes deeper
To
thought.
not go back to to land.
They decide to live under the sea
Under the sea.
with Ariel
Down where it's wetter.
and Sebastian.
See, it wouldn't have been a spoiler.
It's like reverse Little Mermaid. They're like, I've always wanted to have a tail. Or a,
Yeah,
or
they're just like, oh man,
a
yeah.
flipper?
I just like their lives were so hectic. Like things, like they could have just hung out with that eel.
Yeah, they should have.
So one thing we didn't get over is like they bicker throughout this whole thing. And so like at one point he's like, oh, like so somehow this became my fault. Like, and then he's like, we're only here because of your job, and then she's like, we're only here because of whatever. And so like they start taking out their relationship problems.
Yeah.
on like them being on this uncontrollable situation.
Yeah, and they're all like, oh, well, this was the only vacation available because of your schedule and blah, blah. And then she's like, I wanted to go skiing.
Yeah, no, that was Thank you. I forgot I wanted to mention that.
Yeah, and then he goes, oh, God.
I wanted to go skiing.
No eels when you ski.
Yeah.
I mean, that I know of.
At
Snow
one
eels?
point, he
Is that
starts screaming and going like,
Unbelievable!
I can't believe we played for this. We paid to be shark bait. And I was like, ooh, ha, ha, ha.
He's like, we wanted an ocean view, and by God, we got it.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! I like also.
He has a little freak out that Justin posted up on the Instagram that is hilarious.
I also love, when he gets bit by the shark, he's like clearly in shock, and he's like, he's like, I got bit by a shark. We don't know anyone that got bit by a shark.
Yeah.
This is insane. Like, I mean,
and like she sees that his leg is still there, but he doesn't really believe her, and he's like, "It's
Yeah.
not." She's like, "No, it's not."
it's totally fine.
One of the sweeter things that she says is just like, you're gonna have a really nice scar. It'll be a cool story to tell her friends. Like it'll be like, she does it really like, it's like that's one of the more real scenes where she's trying to calm him down while like it's one of the scenes where his overacting and him being in shock actually is like you even there's even more leeway for it to be like, yeah, like he's in shock. That's why he's doing that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, one thing that I noticed on the IMDb page were the tags that wonderful IMDb users have put on this movie.
Oh, God.
And so let's just see if you guys think these are the top things that should be tagged for this movie. Okay, these are the top ones. There's plenty of things, other ones, but these are the top most voted up tags. Okay.
Caribbean
so,
folk music.
cleavage, scantily clad female,
Oh my God.
hairy chest, bare-chested male, female full frontal nudity, male full frontal nudity, and nude with glasses.
Nude with glasses?
Does that even happen?
When was
I
there?
don't think that even happens.
Yeah,
And also the hairy chest is not even Daniel. It's the jerk guy on the
jerk
boat.
guy, yeah.
When
Wait.
was there?
When was there full frontal male nudity?
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I mean, when he got into bed, maybe.
I mean, I was on the lookout for
I
it.
didn't
and
look
see it.
that
You were like-
closely. Yeah, I thought that he kind of just went under the sheet.
Lift
like-
those sheets up higher.
So I don't know. Apparently, these are the top tags that have been voted up by IMDb.
All right, well,
users.
thanks, Internet.
Yeah.
Also-
Everyone just
also-
wants to know what movies have boobs in them.
Also,
That's it.
please listen to our podcast, Internet.
Yeah. Come on.
Next time, this episode will be posted with hashtag cleavage, hashtag hairy chest.
I
Hashtag
was like, do we have full frontal nudity in our podcast?
nude with glasses.
You have no way of knowing.
I do want to start the hashtag nude with glasses.
Yeah.
This is so stupid.
Justin's wearing glasses right now, you guys.
That's right.
You don't know whether or not he's nude.
I might be
nothing
nude.
else, and nothing
We're not in the
else.
same room. We're not all nude.
Listen.
You have no idea.
Yeah, that's right.
God. Okay.
This isn't a video podcast.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so why don't we what are your overall thoughts on the film?
I think that for me, kind of a side of this, we're talking about most of this movie was shot on the DVX or other DV video. This movie came out in 2004. At the time, there was talk about it being, this new wave of digital video. You can make movies this way, and so it was one of those movies that I was like, "Hey, I have that camera. Like, I could make a movie like this. Like, I could, that." And there was a time where it was like, "This is going to be a new genre, not just a franchise. This is going to be digital video. You could make smaller indie movies. This is how they're going to get made." That happened up until the 5D came out, basically. But it's interesting to note, especially on a sequel podcast like ours, that it was kind of the proof of concept for making movies in this medium in that way, because the movie went on to make 60 million plus.
I think it was 55 million total.
Yeah. Okay. So
On a budget of 120,000.
So it's one of those, crazy Hollywood success stories. And
I wonder why there's sequels.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So just talking, that was something I wanted to mention, that, and it actually looks great. It's still a proof of concept that works. There's a lot of, it would be interesting to see going back to that medium. Actually, Spider-Man kind of does that in its opening, using the, Peter Parker film and kind of that iMovie feel. I think that's an aesthetic that works and holds up actually pretty well.
Yeah, and it kind of plays into the story of the film too, where it's kind of like these people are on vacation, and you could imagine that they were taking videos of their vacation, and it's not. It has like kind of the look of what a found footage movie would be, but it's not shot like one, because it's shot as if it's an actual film.
Yep.
But it has that feeling. It gives you that feeling of like we're watching something real, and it adds to like these are real people, and it adds to the whole emotion of what happens.
I was shocked to discover that there was no CG whatsoever. I figured there was at least a little here and there, get rid of a chain or something like that. Yeah, like a buoy or something like that. But no CG, which is
There was probably
quite
just
an
a
achievement.
fuck ton of editing.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and it was written, directed, and edited by
Jesus.
the same guy, the director. and he did everything.
Yeah.
He also shot the film, so like
That's crazy.
So what happened to this
Cinematographer.
director? And
He didn't do much later. Much
yeah,
else.
apparently what happened is he kind of they ended up getting pigeonholed a bit into horror films.
Yep.
And he, I guess, they didn't really think of this film as a horror film when it's not like they set out to make a horror film.
Mm-hmm.
They're just trying out this new, technology and way of directing a film. And so they got lots of bad scripts, and I think he eventually ended up making this film Silent House with Elizabeth Olsen, which is a horror film. But God, I can't remember. There was something about the film that made it interesting, like that it was all it was done in long takes or something. I don't remember.
I think it's something that the DV it never really caught on, and it felt like a gimmick. Even though it wasn't, and it just got pigeonholed, and he's not a real filmmaker. He just made a nice video camera movie.
Yeah, his IMDb page is like
4 things.
Yeah, and his Wikipedia is super short.
My high school self thought it was pretty funny or cool that Graham Revell, the composer, composed all the strings and helped with Evanescence's debut album.
Oh, right. That's right.
So we have him to thank for the hits of our youth.
So funny.
Thanks, Graham.
Thanks, man.
Graham man.
He really brought us to life, No, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that an Evanescence pun?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't get it.
I mean, wake
You
up.
obviously weren't emo enough. Yeah.
Wake me up. Inside.
You can't wake up.
I can't wake up.
All right, I'm out on
Do you need
these.
to be
I'm sorry.
saved?
I'm sorry,
No,
guys.
we can't go into a whole Evanescence thing. That would have been more appropriate with the last film.
Yeah, they should have used Evanescence.
And, yeah, I'm sure they had the budget for that. Yeah, so like we said, this film was super successful, and there's more of them.
Yes, give us the title.
This is just the start. The next one coming up is Open Water 2.
Okay.
Adrift.
Ooh, okay, so what do we think it's about? You've seen it already. So don't say anything.
I have not actually watched the movie. It was on in the background at my 21st birthday party at the Redwood Bar downtown, and we got sucked into it. But it was on the background
sound.
with no sound.
Okay.
I've seen the
So,
movie.
but I do know the premise of this movie.
Okay, well, let me see if I can guess something, since I'm the only one that knows nothing about it. Well, obviously, none of the same people are going to be in it.
There's zombies in the movie.
That fucking eel. He's going to be in it.
Shit. He's the antagonist.
That's
for
right.
sure.
No, I guess what would be good is if the next one is set like in a different
Ocean.
climate.
Indian
a
Ocean.
different type of ocean or different type of
Salton Sea.
open water. No, the Salton Sea.
Well, it's kind of like, yeah. How do you make a
mean,
sequel from this film? That's the interesting thought.
Ocean's a big place, guys.
Maybe more people
Undersea bunker.
like 4 people or something get stuck, and so they get killed off.
They suddenly find that they're adrift.
Liz, you might be in luck.
Oh shit!
Hey, no spoilers. We gotta wait till the
My
next
other
week,
guess for the fact that it's a sequel is that the people will be hotter and more bikinis or something.
right? It might be more HD.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder. I guess we know that, but yeah, I don't remember if it's still shot in the same DV.
Yeah, I have seen the movie, but I don't remember the details.
Yeah.
Do you remember how much nudity there was?
I don't remember at all.
More or
You'd
less.
think I'd remember, but I just don't.
You'd be surprised that there's more nudity in the Open Water trilogy than there
I
is
think
in
it
all
says
4
hashtag-
species
Oh my
movies.
gosh! Yeah.
I don't think that's true, but
Hashtag
going by the IMDb hashtags,
Yeah.
then that's absolutely the case.
All right.
Hashtag nude in water.
That is actually the Lady in the Water porn parody.
Nude and
Nude lady in the water.
That guy has the giant arm for completely different reasons.
Naked lady in the water.
all right. So anything else?
I don't know.
I mean, I really want to pet an eel. I think that sounds
I think
fun.
you can do that, like at the aquarium.
No, you
I
can't.
just wanted to say, like, I might have said this already at the beginning, but I was just really excited to be done with Species and to watch what I feel like is a really great movie. And if you haven't seen it, please go check it out. For those of you who care, it has like a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And it got really good reviews, and it's a lot of work went into this film, and I think you should support it.
Yay for indie filmmakers.
Yeah.
And even if if you're mad that we just told you what happens, should still watch it, because just like the anxiety building and like that feeling of like, oh, like you start to like be like, oh my gosh, like I was physically like, oh my gosh, I almost forgot to mention. So my mom was in the background while I was watching this, and I knew Daniel's name, but I didn't know her name. And so when they start screaming like Susan, Daniel, Susan, those are my parents' names. And so my mom was like, what are you watching? And I was like, oh my God.
That's amazing.
I can't believe it. So this episode is dedicated to my parents, Susan and Daniel.
Susan and Daniel.
Who never swim because
they pretty much don't, yeah.
Avoid all those eels. I think that's a perfect place to end.
Yeah. So, thanks you guys for listening. Thanks again to my brother for the music at the top. And Eliz, you want to let us know where everyone can reach us?
Yes, we are at Twitter, on Twitter, at Sequel Rights. We also just started up our Instagram, at Sequel Rights, and we are at facebook.com/Sequel Rights, and you can email us your thoughts at sequelrights@gmail.com.
We want to hear from you. Send us your thoughts. Send us, interact with us. We're here all day. We just sit at work. We have boring fucking jobs. We just sit at work and do nothing. We're just waiting.
Accurate.
We're just waiting for you. We're just waiting for you to say hi to us because we want to talk.
And more than that, yes, we want to hear from you, but please go on your podcast app, rate and review. Set that download. You don't have to listen.
Yeah.
If you're hearing this, though, I mean,
you should listen.
It's probably a mistake.
Just give us a rating.
Give us a rating. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Just rate us.
We also just started up a brand new Instant Messenger username, AOL Instant Messenger. You can find us, Sequel Rights XX3. We're on there to chat all day and all night. Just add us. We want to be on your buddy list.
Super topical AIM jokes.
TTYL, guys.
We'll see you next week for Open Water 2 Adrift.